Welcome back to the North Benchwarmers podcast. I'm your host, Colton Smith, here joined by producer Josh Northcutt, special guest Alex Perez, and director Garrett Jordan. Fellas, we're here for a little special edition of the starting lineup. We're going to talk some NKU, but some breaking news today. The Pac-12 is back, fellas. I mean, I guess it never technically left, but it's officially back as they announced that they will be adding 4 new teams, at least so far, and they're not saying they're becoming it, but they will be now going from the Pac-2 to the Pac-6. What do you guys think, Josh?
Well, first off, I like the teams they picked. Boise State, Colorado State, San Diego State, and Fresno State. They're out of the leftover G5 teams. They're probably the best options to keep your roots of the Pac-12 expansion. They do have to add at least 2 more by next year, or it will basically fall through and have the situation that they had this year. So it's interesting to see who they may add. But before I talk about a few of the ideas I have, do you have any thoughts on them adding these teams?
It's just really excited to see that they're still going to be around.
Yeah.
I love 11 o'clock football, so
Absolutely.
I cannot wait to watch some more of that. But who do you think they're going to add?
So I had 4 names come up if you want to keep the roots of the West Coast. North Dakota State, I would bring them to D1 football.
Favorite West Coast?
It's not West Coast, but
West Coast
neither
State.
is Idaho. You know what I mean with
Yeah,
Boise State. So,
no, absolutely.
But North Dakota State, very talented football team. Obviously not in D1. However, they deserve a shot. I would bring them in.
Wholeheartedly agree.
I would bring the rival South Dakota State in. Again, a great Pacific team that added there. I would look at UNLV, but I don't know if they want to take, again, from the same conference, and I would look at Wyoming. So basically, I'm just taking the little Mountain West area of teams. But 2 to keep an eye on if you want to go a different route would be Memphis and Tulane.
Okay.
Obviously, conference affiliation doesn't mean anything because, the ACC has 2 teams from the Pacific along with a team from Texas, which then also would bring me, if you're the Pac-12, do you try to go into Texas and take one of these smaller Texas schools just to have that kind of mindset?
Do you ever think there is a world? Sorry to cut you off, Garrett. Just got one question. Do you ever think there's a world where, like, with the ACC, the stabilization is very shaky? Like, is there a world where Cal and Stanford are like, well, let's just go back to the Pac-12?
Money's too good right now.
It is.
ACC's contract is way too good when it comes to a TV deal.
Right.
It would take the likes of Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Leave.
With all of those rumors, you think in that world, do you see that possibly happening?
Maybe 4 to 5 years down the line.
Yeah, this is way down the line.
Not a year or 2 from now, obviously, when this goes into effect. So, I mean, I could see it. I'd prefer it, honestly. Cal and Stanford in the ACC doesn't make sense to me.
No, it never will.
We were talking about it when we were previewing college football. Cal's college football team. Did you know they literally traveled the distance around the world just for their football games this year?
Circumference of Earth, yeah.
I did not know. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's what you get with conference realignment.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got kids who are supposed to be student athletes.
Yeah, it's not fair at all. Yeah.
Man, I mean, you're not a student athlete when you're doing that kind of situation. Because you're leaving on Thursday night to go to a game?
You're not doing the homework on the plane. Let's be honest.
You're definitely not. Garrett, I know you probably got to take this since you're the gatekeeper of college football on the show.
Mr. Gatekeeper.
According to what Colton says, yeah. No, I liked that idea of maybe the Pac-12 dipping their toes into Texas. I could see them going after like a UTSA or maybe even a Texas State. I know those are 2 teams that are kind of on the up and up in Texas. I was also looking at Utah State as maybe an addition to the Pac-12 to sort of take that place of Utah, because Utah State's been a program. I mean, obviously Jordan Love was drafted out of there, so that's Utah State's a program that's kind of come a long ways from where they were. So I think it'd be interesting to maybe see Utah State join the Pac-12. But other than that, I love the idea of adding North Dakota and South Dakota State. Yeah. I think those 2 teams have proven that they probably deserve a shot at the FBS level of play. So, really good idea there, Josh.
Yeah, I would say more so than some others that we have seen got it. So that was going to lead to another question of mine. Do you think they just are content where they're at?
I think money plays a role, and North Dakota State and South Dakota State probably don't have followings that said schools in Texas and Georgia and I guess Louisiana were also where the big ones, or even Carolina have. I mean, the population of North Dakota State and South Dakota State isn't exactly the biggest thing in the world, so to add them to a power conference would be a little risky, but I absolutely believe North Dakota State. South Dakota State has improved a lot, but definitely North Dakota State with their tenure could succeed in the D1 level and getting D1 recruits. But
sure.
it would also become the hardest place to recruit because who wants to go play
Yeah.
football in North Dakota?
Is that your
for sure.
is that your same argument that you're using for picking UNLV over Nevada? It's just they're located in Vegas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would then turn around since you lost the LA market. I would make Las Vegas your Big 12 championship.
Pac-12.
Pac-12 championship.
They could totally like move their headquarters there and just totally remake themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Pac-12, I believe, actually has held their Pac-12 championship there the last 2 years when they were
Once they built Allegiant, right?
correct. Yeah, so that's why I think UNLV makes a lot of sense, and then Wyoming was just because they're up there with Boise State. So
Yeah.
and, I mean they had Josh Allen at one point, so
They did.
they're still a decent team, and everybody knows about their stadium always getting the love that they get. So
Yeah. Well, it's going to be fun to see how that all develops, what teams are brought. I'm sure rumors will go crazy. We'll have some UConn jumping over there somehow. I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. But we brought Alex on to talk some NKU. So let's hear. We got NKU volleyball. They have started out 2-4, but they played some really difficult opponents.
Yeah, they played a lot of Power 5 schools, so
Yes.
that's been part of the struggle early. But they just had their first, well, at least to my knowledge, their first invitational tournament hosted at NKU.
I think they hosted one last year.
Oh, did they? Okay.
They won with
well,
Ohio State, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So they had one this past weekend. Played a couple of tight games, even with the Power 5 schools. Even got a set off against Missouri. It's 3-1 there. Joy Banks won Horizon League Player of the Week. She had 17 kills in that game and a 341 hitting percentage. And this game was close throughout. All sets were within 4. And like I talked about, NKU even got one set on their own, and it was 34-32. So it was a hard-fought set there. And then in the second one, it was a battle of mid-majors, and NKU dominated 3-0. So that was good to see. A team that beat Missouri later in that tournament. Again, Joy Banks huge with 15 kills, 452 hitting percentage that time, and then the graduate Ali Sifke with 7 blocks in that game. And then a little struggle against Louisville, number 4 team in the country.
Yeah,
so
you know.
it's a
Solid squad
It's
over there.
understandable to have a little struggle there. The first 2 sets were kind of shaky. They got their groove in the third set, but Louisville just proved to be kind of too consistent
Yeah.
to let a set slip up and just give any NKU any hope. But it was competitive, and that's really all you can ask for against these Power 5 teams, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, South Dakota kind of ruined the weekend for everybody when they took a set from Louisville because, like, right from that, it's just like they flipped a switch and nobody stood a chance. I missed the Missouri game, but they won 3-0 in that as well. So,
Yeah.
but, I mean, this team, yeah, they start out 2-4, but they start off the season against Kentucky. They played Western Kentucky, a good mid-major team. They finally got their first win against Morehead State, and then just looking at the roster, we have Senior Joy Banks. We had her on the pod over Beyond the Score. Great interview there. She leads the team with kills with 67. She has 8 blocks on the year. She's also second in digs with 60. She is no doubt the catalyst for this team.
For sure.
But freshman Allison Risley, she's right up there, second in kills with 49, and kind of just through the first 2 weekends of her career, looking like she isn't really missing a step. Another great freshman we have is Lanny Green, who she's got 85 assists on the young season so far, right behind Tori Houston, a grad student who's been giving out dimes this year as she does every year.
Every year, yeah, for sure.
she's definitely the dime getter on the team.
I talked to these freshmen before the season started, and I think they've already exceeded expectations even this early in the season. Like you mentioned, Laney Green, I think she's already one of the best passers in the Horizon League.
Yeah.
So that's good to see. And Allison Risley, just to give another offensive attack. It's great to see how much these freshmen are making an impact already.
Yeah, and Joy told us on the interview that she thought this is a very stacked and it's shown so early, and playing those harder opponents, those stats are only going to go up exponentially.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And I'd be remiss not to mention Lucy Cluxton, who's taken a big leap, redshirt junior this season. She is currently second in the Horizon League in digs with 99. So and again, playing these big teams, once we get to Horizon League play, I don't even know what these stats are going to look like.
And she had to move over to that libero spot that she wasn't used to playing. So
Right.
Just a big transition for her, and she's come in seamlessly. So it's been impressive to watch, honestly.
That was going to be my question. Since they're getting this competition versus Power 4, Power 5 schools, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
how do you think that is going to help when it comes to the Horizon League? Like, the growth and experience of just these matchups have to be able to help possibly take down the Horizon, yes?
Oh, for sure. It's just experience. So, I mean, we talked about it with Liz Hartledge, just experience and just having that competitive drive to know what to expect when you get to that high of a level. The speed, obviously, against Louisville was kind of what killed them in those first two sets. But having that experience, you know what to expect, and then you can go and play like they did against the Horizon League competition and show them up just like they show up pretty much everybody. Louisville's may win a national championship this year in volleyball, but it's about experience. And Liz told me that they get just as mad for those games as they do any other one. They are certainly fired up that they lose those games. So it's good just to see that they're competitive no matter what level the skill is.
Yeah, this team is tough. They're going to be a threat. I think they're definitely a threat to win the Horizon. I think they're a threat to steal a game or two in the volleyball tournament. So
yeah, they were last season top 5 in every metric that volleyball measures.
Dang, that's pretty solid,
in the
eh?
Horizon League.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I think they'll have a pretty good season. Especially, I think they got better, even better than last season.
Yeah. I mean, they had definitely a stacked team last year, but they have young players this year that are going to only get better throughout the season. I mean, this is just square one for them, and the fact that we'll have that growth. It's going to be fun to watch. I'm excited to watch women's volleyball. They are the team that really got me into the women's volleyball. I never really watched too much of it, but just working the games and seeing like how like a whole nother level
It's
from
intense.
the high school volleyball I was used to watching, and they're fun to watch. You all should go out and see them. They're great.
For sure.
But before we stick in women's sports, Garrett, you wanted to talk a little bit about the U.S. Open and the outcome from this past weekend of a great tournament, it seemed like.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. I can go ahead and run down the scores really quick. So the men's final was Sinner defeating Taylor Fritz 6-3, 6-4, 7-5 in straight sets. Sad to see an American man go down like that. But Fritz played well. Sinner just played better. It was really just a case of good versus gooder there. Sinner is the third man in the Open era to win his first 2 Grand Slam titles in the same season. So I thought that was a really nifty and interesting stat for him. And in my personal opinion, as far as men's tennis goes, I think the torch has officially been passed.
That's what I was going to ask you, actually, when we were done with this. I was like, when I came in, it was all about Alcaraz. He was the man to beat. And it feels like Sinner has been, since I started watching after Wimbledon, he has been the man to beat it in tennis.
I want to read off a stat for you here. 2024 was the first year since 2002 that either Federer, Nadal, or Djokovic did not win at least one of the 4 Grand Slams that year. So I think it's a new era of tennis with tennis. I think it's a new era of tennis with names like Sinner, Alcaraz, Zverev, and Medvedev leading the way, and I think it's exciting.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what a time for me to get into it, right? Like,
yeah, I know. You get
to
to see all these fresh new faces. So it's like if you got into tennis 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you just seen, you either have to be a Federer fan, a Nadal fan, or a Djokovic fan, because those are the only 3 guys that win the tournaments. So it's nice to see this variety starting to crop up.
Yeah. What about that women's match though?
Yeah.
Arina Sabalenka defeating
Yeah.
Jessica Pegula.
Sabalenka defeated Pegula 7-5, 7-5, straight sets as well. Sabalenka was clearly the stronger player in this match to
But
me.
Pegula had a chance.
Pegula had a chance, but I think that was more so due to some of the sloppier play of Sabalenka than it was Pegula outskilling Sabalenka, in my opinion. I was looking at the stats, and Arena had 5 double faults and over a dozen more unforced errors than Pegula did during this match. So in my mind, I only watched the highlights from this, but from what those stats tell me, it just seems like Pegula was in it because of the errors that Sabalenka was making. I still think going into this, I think Sabalenka was the heavy favorite, and I think she showed that.
Yeah.
I think her play was just a little sloppy, but other than that, I mean, hey, she won. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's just how it goes sometimes. But my question is, so for tennis, that's the last Grand Slam of the year. So
Yes.
where do you kind of go from here? Just kind of some smaller tournaments or whatnot? What's the next big deal, I guess, in tennis?
So the next big deal for tennis is going to be the Laver Cup,
Okay.
which is, I believe it's the United States. I think it's the United States versus EU, or is it, I think Western versus Eastern. I can't remember. I know it just like it splits the world in half basically, and it's 10 different tennis players represent the different halves, and they just compete in an Olympic style sporting event where each win counts as a point, and whoever has more points at the end wins. So it's all like fun fanfare for tennis from here on out. Basically, I would encourage you guys to tune into a couple of those Laver Cup matches because they're played indoors, so the crowd gets quite raucous, and it's always fun because all the stars are just there to have fun. It's just one big fun event. Nothing there affects your rankings or anything like that. It's literally just a bragging contest.
Oh. Yeah, well, let's go ahead and talk about some WNBA as we are how close to the playoffs?
4 games.
Just 4 games away.
Yeah, 4 games, and I believe it is 10 days. Playoffs
We
start.
are running out of time to go to a Fever game, boys. We
Well, they
keep on
haven't-
talking
They
about
haven't
it.
put the Fever playoff tickets on sale yet. That's what I've been waiting for.
Yeah, okay. All right, when we see those.
So playoffs start September 22nd. 7 teams are already locked in. New York, Minnesota, Connecticut, Las Vegas, Seattle, Indiana, and Phoenix. Chicago, Atlanta, and Washington are all battling out for the last spot. And something to keep an eye on is this week, Atlanta and Washington play back-to-back games versus each other. And Atlanta also will play Chicago the following game. So it is very big for Atlanta. If they can steal 2 of those 3, or definitely all 3, they'll be on pace to steal that 8th spot in the playoffs. Dallas and Los Angeles have been eliminated. So throwing it towards you, Mr. WNBA, as we like to call you. Los Angeles, very disappointing year. Losing Brink played that big of a role, or is it just the team's kind of
I think a little bit of both. Brink is a huge defensive presence, so losing her was a big hurt to them because they don't have any paint presence defensively. De'Erica Hamby is great offensively. She's not that great defensively. Rakia Jackson, she's been in and out of the lineup. She is a great talent. One of the most underrated rookies, I would say, but she just hasn't been able to be consistently in the lineup, so that's hurt them as well. So it's been a combination of just a roster that's not ready for the playoffs and injuries getting in the way.
And then speaking of injuries, when I rambled off those team names, Las Vegas sitting in 4th. Injuries played a big role in that, right? The slow start and everything,
Yeah.
and we're getting kind of close to playoff time, so they'll probably turn it on.
Yeah, do not look too deeply into the 4th spot for Las Vegas. They played without Chelsea Gray for most of this year, and she is what is affectionately known as the point guard in the WNBA. So that offense just wasn't clicking at the beginning of the year, and let me tell you, it's clicking now. They just beat the Fever pretty handily yesterday, so that wasn't fun to see as a Fever fan, but I fully expect this team, honestly, just to win another title and probably be right back against the Liberty, honestly.
And I was going to say, Asia Wilson actually just became a single-season scoring leader in WNBA history. I saw last night. How quickly is she getting her name on like the Mount Rushmore of WNBA players?
It should already be there, honestly. She should have won MVP last year. She won Finals MVP though, so she's gonna easily win MVP this year. And she's just doing things that we've never heard of, like Caitlin Clark doing things we've never heard of for a rookie. Asia Wilson's doing things we've never heard of for any WNBA player ever. So she should already be there, especially when she probably wins another title this year.
And then last question before I let Colton ask one, if he's got anything or two, how many ever he wants. Commissioner Cups, Minnesota Lynx are 3-1 versus Las Vegas, 2-1 versus New York, 9-1 in their last 10. I know you said New York and Las Vegas are probably the matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Could Minnesota be that team to surprise one of those two, steal a series, and get to the finals? Or you just think playoff time, experience, New York, Las Vegas run it back for, I believe, the third straight year?
Yeah, I would put my money on the experience, but Minnesota could definitely get to the finals if they played well enough. I think if you picked one of those teams, it would be against the Aces that they could get by, just because there has been some inconsistency with the paint play from the Aces, besides Asia Wilson, like Kia Stokes and Gustafson from Iowa. Just haven't been exactly what they need right beside Asia, but Minnesota is the best three-point shooting team in the league. So when you have that weapon, it's always going to be a great equalizer. So they could do it. I wouldn't expect them to, just because I feel like Las Vegas and New York are just so far ahead of everybody else.
Fair enough.
Yeah, the only question I was going to take it to what everyone talks about, you know,
Mhm.
the Chicago Sky and Indiana Fever, more about the Sky. I mean, those are two teams that were going into the All-Star break or the Olympic break. I mean, they were kind of neck and neck there, I think 7th and 8th. And when we got back, I mean, Chicago Sky have gone this way and the Fever have gone this way. So I'm just curious what kind of happened there.
One big thing was they, for some reason, traded Marina Mabry.
I do remember that, yeah.
And just made Connecticut even better, which doesn't make any sense to me since they're already at the top of the league.
Right.
That was a big part of it because they don't have much offense on that team.
Mm-hmm.
Angel Reese just went down with a season-ending injury, so that certainly doesn't help to end this year.
Yeah.
But they just don't have any offense, and that's what you got to do is score points, especially in a league where the defense is so intense.
Right.
That's really the biggest difference, and that's really what I'm looking at towards the end of this year. Is I hope Atlanta or Washington sneak into the playoffs, because watching Chicago without Reese or Mabry on that team,
Yeah.
it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah. Well, that's really all I had. I hear all the stuff about Caitlin Clark or whatnot, but I just saw that the Sky had fallen that far and just wasn't sure why.
Yeah, it's been something to see. Caitlin Clark deserves Rookie of the Year. She does not deserve MVP.
No,
We
I
can stop
have
having that
seen people
conversation.
say that. I'm like, there's no way anybody actually. But believe it or not, there's people out there that
They will certainly have that discourse.
that'll say it just because. But yeah, is there anything else you guys want to talk about WNBA wise?
No,
Nothing
he
I
answered
can
all my
think of.
questions very well. So
All right. Well, we are going to go to a commercial break, which is weird because we don't have any sponsors. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, thank you, Alex, for joining us. When we come back,
Thanks for having
we will
me.
have Ben Miller on for Winner's Circle and beyond. So we'll see you guys on the other end.
Winner Circle up next.
I'm Jimmy Johnson. Boom, confetti. I'm Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy, customers love the new paint color. It's your beard.
Oh, wow.
And living legend, Jimmy Johnson is on aisle 8.
Dawn, this is all great. Maybe a little much.
I think we're playing it pretty cool here.
I'm Jimmy Johnson. Boom, confetti.
The King is going all out, bringing the new 36-piece BK chicken fries box to your big old pigskin party.
Yo, Carl, nice gear. Foot Locker?
No doubt.
So any advice now that I've been drafted?
Getting drafted doesn't mean a thing. Now the real work starts. This isn't college. This is a grown man's league. Tell him, Devin.
That's right. Nothing comes easy anymore.
Anything else I should know, D'Angelo?
Got a phone?
Trust me,
All right, so we are back from our commercial break here, and we have a new friend here, or an old friend, of course. Ben is back on the pod here for the rest of the show, and we are going to go ahead and get that promised trivia segment that we did not get on the live show. So, Garrett, I will let you take it away.
All right, gentlemen. So obviously, bad on my part. Didn't have the trivia prepped. So this time we're gonna have 3 trivia questions for you guys.
Okay.
So big opportunity to get points this week.
Don't forget about the sound effects.
I will do my best to not forget about the sound effects.
Okay.
Right over there.
That steals the show.
Yes, of course. All right, my first trivia question has to do with tennis. Taylor Fritz was the first American man to compete in the finals for the U.S. Open since 2006. Who was the last American man to compete?
I'm trying to think of the next best talent after Agassi and Federer, or not Federer, but Agassi and Sampras, because that's way past their prime. Andy Roddick. Yeah,
It is indeed Andy Roddick.
I know
serve
the
was
name.
nasty.
I would not have been able to pull that out of my ass in 1,000 years.
I thought Andy Roddick might have been a name that at least the other two that don't watch tennis as much might have recognized.
I recognize the name, but I wouldn't.
Yeah, so it's
know
been a while for men's tennis. So it's nice to see an American man finally compete, and that's not just for the U.S. Open. There's a drought for like all finals as well. I think the last time an American man made it into a final full stop for any of the Grand Slams was Roddick again in 2009. So before Fritz had made it, it was literally 15 years since an American man had been in the finals.
Wow.
So congrats, Josh. Way to go. All right. My second trivia question for you is NASCAR focused. So I know Ben's excited about that one. So I'm hoping
feel my lead slipping away.
This was the last question that I was searching for frantically, because I was trying to find a reliable source for it, but I'm just going to go based off of the source that I saw. Based off the sources that I saw, which driver has the fastest 4-tire pit stop ever?
Chase Elliott.
Ooh.
Not Chase Elliott.
The fastest 4-tire pit stop ever.
Fastest 4-tire pit stop ever. I guess like default pit stop. 4 tires and fuel.
4 tires and fuel.
Larson?
Not Kyle Larson.
Is it Denny Hamlin?
No, but he has had very fast pit stops.
Yeah.
Not recently. It seems pretty mid recently. So can we a hint? Is it in recent times? It has to be, right?
Yes, it was
It has to
recent.
be 'cause
I
it's
will
single.
say, I will give you a secondary hint. It is not a driver that I think most people would expect.
Ooh.
As a secondary hint, I can give you the team that he races
No,
for.
that would give it away too easy.
All right, okay, all right.
I do
all right.
just want to know: is he still racing?
Yes, he is still racing. I think so.
Corey LaJoie?
No, it is not LaJoie.
You're out. I can't believe it's not Elliott. I really thought it was Chase Elliott. I'm gonna go Ryan.
Ty Gibbs.
Not Ty Gibbs.
I'm gonna go Ryan Blaney. Who was it?
No, none of you are correct. The correct answer is Chase Briscoe.
Oh,
I would have definitely never got that.
Chase Briscoe's team recorded an 8.45 4-tire pit stop.
This year?
Last year, last September, they recorded a 4-tire pit stop at 8.45.
That's fast.
Yeah, that's real fast.
That's super fast.
All right.
Garrett's on the board.
Point
again.
for me.
Been a while.
All right, my third and final question for you is an NFL-based one. And obviously, we've seen a massive uptick in the search for and use of the term Mr. Irrelevant with Brock Purdy's success at quarterback in
So
San
Josh has this
Francisco.
one.
Never said that. However, my question for you and what I want to know is which Mr. Irrelevant has scored the most points all time?
Brock Purdy.
Now,
oh man.
I will give you a hint because this one is quite broad.
Yeah.
Think of which positions score a lot of points
it's a
every
kick.
single
It's
game?
a kicker. It's 100% a kicker.
Thank you, Josh. Since Josh already answered first, he doesn't get to answer again. So Josh gets one, and Ben and Colton, you get 2 guesses.
Come on, kicker, man. A kicker. Off the top of my head, Mr. Irrelevant. I can't wait for this next hint. I don't know, like Bullock or something. Yeah, shit.
I just want to see if you can name a kicker.
He can name Evan McPherson, but
Justin Tucker.
No.
No, he's not been in the
He was
league
way
long
early.
enough.
He was way early in the draft.
Oh.
So, we got another hint.
What team did he play for? Even though that'll probably give it away to me.
Well, he's a kicker, so he probably bounced around from a lot of teams. But I think most people, at least recently, probably know him as the place kicker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That did not narrow it down. Shit.
I will say within the past 3 seasons, he has been a rostered member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
He is. Or wait, so he's not the actual kicker. He's just the holder.
No, place kicker.
No, he's a place kicker.
Oh. Well, you said rosters, so that made he wasn't kicking
Buccaneers.
anymore.
Yeah, I got nothing, so I'm gonna forfeit so we can try to move on from here. I got nothing.
I got nothing either, to be honest.
No, not a name or nothing.
No.
No, you went way too freaking.
Did I get 2?
I think you went. I don't think you get a point for this one. This
No,
one's
I wouldn't give myself a
way
point.
too-
I would be interested to see if you know it. The correct answer is Ryan Suckup.
That's a name.
Ryan Suckup has scored
That's
the
a name
most
that-
points as a Mr. Irrelevant
I'm
in
gonna
the
say
NFL.
I don't remember him with the Bucks, and you might be right about the Bucks, but didn't he play for the Titans too?
He did play for the Titans as well.
See, that's where my brain would have went.
I wasn't like super big into the NFL. I was also young, so I didn't like follow players as closely as I do now. So for me, Ryan Suckup comes to mind in a Bucks uniform because that's where I remember him playing.
Fair enough. So we got the winner's circle.
I was excited for the trivia, and then Garrett kind of ruined my day.
So Garrett, since you know you just dominated us with trivia, you got a winner's circle?
I do have a winner circle pick. Gentlemen, how about those Huskies? NIU going into South Bend, defeating number 5 Notre Dame, 16-14. If that's not the most Midwestern score I've ever seen, ever, I love that score. That score is incredible, and I think sums up the game of football perfectly. For NIU, it's their first AP Top 5 win in program history, and it's the first win versus an AP Top 5 school by any MAC team ever. That's the first time a MAC team has dethroned a Top 5 team.
That's a crazy stat.
It is insane when I read that.
I'll change that.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. Now, with this victory, NIU jumped to number 25 in the rankings. It's the first time this team has been ranked in over a decade. Long time coming for the NIU Huskies. But the real stinger of it all is that Notre Dame has to pay NIU $1.4 million. They have to pay them to lose. Oh, Notre Dame feels bad. Side note, Thomas Hammock probably jumped into my top 10 most favorite coaches of all time because I love a coach that cries for his kids.
I respect that. I respect that. Ben, you got one.
Yeah, I'm going with Joe Mixon, AFC Offensive Player of the Week. So congrats to our former running back.
Man.
Why? I was just getting over Sunday. Colton, go ahead. Colton's broken too.
Damn.
I was just going to go with people who respect women because Deshaun Watson still sucks.
I mean, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
9 QBR. Or was it
wow.
under 9? Something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Shout out those who respect women.
So for me, I went the Dayton Dragons, who made the playoffs for the first time since 2017. Unfortunately, they dropped game 1 4-3 at home, and now have to go to Lake County to play the Captains today and hopefully tomorrow, and we'll actually bring some playoff baseball to the Cincinnati region area.
Yeah. It was like, Reds fans, if you want playoff baseball, you got to go to the Dragons.
Fun fact, though, Dayton was winning in the 9th inning, and they have the best closer in all of minor league baseball, and he blew it. If that doesn't just scream Cincinnati sports, I don't know what does.
Learning from Alexis Diaz I see.
Garrett, I kind of understand why you become a Seattle fan or Louisiana fan, because like, God, it sucks living here, man.
It is not fun being a Cincinnati sports fan.
It was fun for like 2 years, but here we are.
Yeah.
God knows where we're going.
Yeah.
All right,
to
Ben.
New Orleans. That's what I keep getting told.
You want to go to New Orleans?
Yeah,
Mardi Gras.
Yeah, watch the Chiefs.
We just go to experience Super Bowl. We stick around for a week, make some friends, and then Mardi Gras.
Our livers are dead.
Ben,
let's talk some
not yet.
Let's
All right.
finally talk some NASCAR.
All right, so over the weekend, opening round of the playoffs, they're at Atlanta Motor Speedway with Joey Logano winning his second win of the 2024 campaign. Finishing second is Daniel Suarez, Ryan Blaney in third, Christopher Bell fourth, Alex Bowman in fifth, Tyler Reddick sixth, Kyle Busch seventh, Chase Elliott eighth, William Byron ninth, and Austin Cindric 10th. And a couple of our playoff drivers who I wanted to point out: Ty Gibbs in 17th, Brad Keselowski 18th, Denny Hamlin 24th, Harrison Burton 31st, Martin Truex Jr. in 35th, Kyle Larson in 37th, and Chase Briscoe in 8th. So little race recap here. The thing that's two drivers that stuck out to me from the beginning were Team Penske, Ryan Blaney and Austin Cindric. I mean, coming into this race, these were two drivers that we had to keep our eyes on. I mean, Ryan Blaney, who's obviously a really good super speedway racer, along with Austin Cindric, they know how to get around these super speedways really well, and they were up front and dominating, making it look easy. And lap 56, Kyle Larson and Chase Briscoe get into a crash, and Kyle Larson, obviously, he's a playoff or a championship caliber driver. I mean, he's been one of our most consistent drivers all season. But coming into Atlanta, though, we obviously know Atlanta has not been his best racetrack. And super speedways in general, though, I thought that was going to raise a question mark on how he will get through this race. And Chase Briscoe, disappointed. I was looking forward to seeing him try to keep that momentum going from that Southern 500 win. And Bubba Wallace and Kyle Busch, I mean, these were two non-playoff drivers that we talked about last week that could potentially make some noise heading into the playoffs. I mean, Bubba Wallace, we all know he's a great super speedway racer, and Kyle Busch arguably has been the best driver in the last couple of weeks. They were all running up front, and also the end of this race is what really caught my attention. I mean, there were a lot of guys who were duking it out for the win. I mean, you had Ty Gibbs, who was in contention for his first career win. He was leading with under 4 laps to go. Daniel Suarez, since that Atlanta win back in the spring, it's obviously been a rough season for him, and not just him, but the whole Trackhouse organization. I mean, Ross Chastain not making the playoffs, but he was looking to get that Atlanta sweep, and Kyle Busch, he was trying to break that long winless streak as he was trying to keep that win streak alive. So overall, though, I felt like it was a good race. What did you guys think?
Yeah, I caught the end of it, and it was funny because I tuned in. I see Joey Logano chilling around the top 5. I'm just like, oh, Josh, just the look he just gave me. Here we go. Hold on. I was just like, Joey Logano's going to win this race, isn't he? So I went straight, as Josh would have taught me as my mentor in this gambling thing. I went straight to DraftKings, and I was like, ooh, let's try to put it. Too late. Too late. But I tried. So, Josh, let me hear it.
So, Logano won the race?
He did.
Blaney finished top 3, right? Third,
yes.
Blaney finished third?
Uh-huh.
Cindric finished 10th?
Let me double check.
I'll tell you right now, Cindric finished 10th.
Yes.
So
yes.
that's 3 Penske cars in the top 10, Colton.
You guys act like this is a non-super speedway race.
Yeah.
Like, anybody can win.
Exactly.
Justin Haley can win
I get
there.
that, but you told me that Penske was going to struggle, and instead they have 3 cars in the top 10, and they look pretty comfortable into the playoffs, into the next round. Now it could get a little sticky in this situation with what's left, but these 2 downfall races for Blaney, But I just
Okay.
want to hear you say you were
So
wrong.
no, you're not going to hear me say I was wrong.
All right. Well, then,
So
you know,
I mean, Daniel Suarez gets a run, and we're not having this conversation. Like it's not a matter of who's hot right now. It's a matter of who is at the front of the race at the end of the race.
Yep.
In a
but
mismatch.
they dominated that race. Like Cindric was up front all day.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. It doesn't mean anything.
Penske.
Cindric
and
has 3
Super-
top 10s on the season, now 4.
Penske's super speedway racing is becoming insanely good.
Absolutely,
They are becoming
yes.
the cars to beat when
They're
we get to
becoming
super
the Stewart
speedways
Haas,
to go,
yeah.
which is insane to think because super speedways in my mind, growing up, it was RCR, and then as I got older, it was Hendricks. I don't ever remember Fords doing this.
Stewart Haas.
Stewart
2018 Talladega.
Okay.
Yes.
Literally all 4 cars in the front of the field pulled away from the pack.
I do remember that. Yeah.
And they were definitely the cream of the crop at super speedways there for a
Okay.
couple of years. Roush has always been good at super speedways. Those
See, I think
engines.
intermediates when I think Roush.
No. They were terrible. The only way they could get a win was at super speedways throughout the 2010s.
Yeah, my
Throughout
brain
the 2000s, yes.
I'm
you
gonna
have
say
a
my
point there.
brains is my memory is Penske being good at short tracks. Like that is my memory of everything. So that's all I wanted to hear. And I just wanted to hear that you were wrong again because Joey Logano won.
I will admit that I was wrong that Joey Logano would not make the first round. However, if he does not win this race, as I predicted, then he would not have made it to the next round.
Right.
I mean, this is a guy who would not even be able to, he would be a non-playoff driver winning in the playoffs if he did not get that crazy win at Nashville.
That's fair.
So, I don't see why my take's that crazy.
I just like giving you crap. That's
You do.
all.
You just like seeing my face
Just
get a
poke
little
the
red.
bear. Just
You,
poke
you
the
love
bear.
poking the bear. I'm gonna defend it. Super Speedway Racing is not a definitive. Harrison Burton won it. I didn't even mention that Harrison Burton won a super speedway race.
Yeah.
We're trying to act like this is an accurate way to depict how drivers drive.
A win's a
Kyle
win.
Larson can't.
It's on. Last time I checked, it's on the schedule. If you win, you get a win.
Kyle Larson can't compete at super speedways. You mean to
That
tell me?
is a fact.
You mean to tell me that we're just going to start spreading
Well,
around
maybe
that
he
he's
should-
an average
maybe
driver?
He should start like competing. I'm just saying. Kyle Larson should get better.
Oh, you got a top 10, didn't he?
No, Larson 38th.
Oh, 38th.
37th or 38th.
That's the opposite
Yeah,
of top 10.
And he's only
I see?
he's
Oh,
15.
it's Bowman I'm
Yeah, he's
thinking of.
15 points
Yeah.
above the cut line now. So
Yes.
that's you have the cut line numbers, Ben.
Yeah, so starting at the top, like I mentioned before, Logano getting that win at Atlanta, Ryan Blaney in second, Bell third, Tyler Reddick fourth, Byron in fifth, Alex Bowman in sixth, Cindric seventh, Chase Elliott eighth, Daniel Suarez ninth, Kyle Larson in 10th, Denny Hamlin 11th, Ty Gibbs in 12th, and the drivers that are below the cut line coming out of Atlanta are Brad Keselowski, Harrison Burton, Martin Truex Jr., and Chase Briscoe.
Yeah, the one I want to bring up there is Brad. Little bit of concern
Yeah.
because he is really, really bad at Watkins Glen.
Yes.
Final 4 pick, right?
Yeah, I know. So I'm admitting I'm wrong. Look, I can admit when I'm wrong.
Did I not just admit I was wrong about Logano?
Try it sometime. Anyway, back to my point. Brad Keselowski, second worst driver in the playoffs at Watkins Glen. Does not have a good time here.
Yep.
So I need him to coast around to a top 15. I don't go win the race. You're not going to win this race. It will be one of the road course darlings that we all talk about and have hyped up in the past. But just stay decently contender. But the concern becomes Ty Gibbs is pretty good at road courses.
Yes,
Yep.
absolutely.
Ty
yes.
Gibbs is good. MTJ is good. Chase Briscoe is good. Harrison Burton is not.
Yeah, Harrison Burton is by far the worst.
I just felt the need to mention Harrison Burton sucking. I'd say Denny Hamlin was his only shot of like somebody to fall out and Keselowski get it. I don't think Keselowski comes out of this Watkins Glen weekend in the playoffs. It's going to come down to Bristol, which is a great track for him.
Yes,
If he can just stick around that bubble.
And that's what I'm saying. He's got to get like a 15 to 20 spot. Like
Yeah.
he can't. If he finishes outside the top 20, we're talking he may have to win Bristol to get in.
Looking at it though, I do think Cindric. I think he got all Penske drivers making it into the next round. So you're right on that. All it took was a good Atlanta, but my point still stands. They will not make it out the round of 12.
Unless
they win Talladega.
That's about to say. Now we're going to another super speedway. They all three finish in the top 10 again.
Yeah,
they're going to make you eat your words.
But the thing
Exactly.
is, it's just as easy that they get caught up in a wreck and don't even finish in the top 30.
But these three seem not to do that, man. Super speedway is just different for these three drivers, and I'm totally jinxing them now. And all three are going to.
We'll see.
They're going to take each other out like Toyota
Logano
did.
is the reason I didn't pick Logano is in recent years he's just been very good at getting caught up in wrecks late in races.
True.
So,
Yeah.
what do you have some more to say, Ben?
Yeah, I'm just looking at Kyle Larson. I mean, like I mentioned before, Atlanta was not going to be his best racetrack. I mean, that was going to be a huge question mark going into this race. I mean, but I'm looking at Watkins Glen for Larson. I mean, it's been a good track for him. I mean, he's won there twice, I believe, and he runs really well at the road courses, though. So I look for him to have a better race, and I feel like he has a chance to bounce back after a rough weekend in Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, I look at this cut line here, and you have, I mean, Daniel Suarez is 22 points to the good.
Yeah.
I don't see him faltering at Watkins Glen. I see him getting around a top 10 there.
Yeah, that's a great point for sure.
And I see Bristol, he can survive. He's
Yeah.
had a couple decent finishes there. I don't know if I would write home about it, but so long as he finishes in the top 20 at Bristol, I think he could survive. He'll be on that cut line for sure at Bristol, but I think he can get a more of a cushion there. Larson will have a good finish, I would say, unless something befalls him. And we could see maybe Larson's the one that goes out in the first round. Like, there's always that one driver that we just don't see coming that gets kicked out in the first round. And Larson did not put up a good performance at Atlanta. He has to put up a good performance at Watkins Glen to kind of keep that. And Bristol, I don't know if he has that room for error of a part failure or something just out of the blue.
Yeah. Since we're talking Watkins Glen, I just want to throw some facts or stats out there quickly. So Hendricks has won every Watkins Glen race since 2018.
Yep.
Chase, Larson, Byron. Pretty dominant. The last driver not Chevy and/or Hendricks to win.
Martin Truex.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the fact that you brought up Truex on the outside, he's won here before. Obviously, he wasn't with Gibbs when he did it, but he won here before.
Essentially with Gibbs.
Correct. And then only one driver outside the top 6 starting has won at the Glen since 2010. That driver? Joey Logano.
Yep, 2015.
Not happening.
I just love sharing that information. Logano.
You know Logano is my least favorite driver in the sport, so you just love rubbing it in.
So, but no, starting position for this race is going to be key.
Yes.
Everything that I've seen,
Absolutely.
if you start towards the top, it's going to be you have a good chance to win. Top 6, case in point, I'd say top 10. You would. So, if you're looking at this race, you're going to need to see who's in the top 10. And go from there on who has a true chance to win. So qualifying will be huge for these teams we talk about on the bubble. Also, not fail to mention, but Juan Pablo Montoya is back in the car. Driving for a 2311. 14 years since he won his last race at the Glen.
Yep. Yeah, it'll definitely be fun to see him back on the NASCAR circuit. So looking forward to seeing what he can do for 2311.
Yeah, I mean, the Glen is always a perfectionist track. I feel like it's when we get down to the nitty-gritty at the end of the race, if there's a close battle, it comes down to who makes the least amount of mistakes. And throughout the race, that goes for it too. You have a pit road mistake, oh crap, you've just lost 6 seconds. How are you going to get those back? Luckily, the stages make it a little easier, but if you go from 3rd back to 10th, you work way back up to 8th, okay, you have to rely on maybe some restarts or something there. So like you said, track position will be key, but it's in a good way here. I feel like it's because you're seeing the best drivers at the front of the field, and I'm excited to see how it all plays out. But I picked MTJ here. I think Chase Elliott will be a threat. I think Kyle Larson, William Byron, even Alex Bowman. He has slowly become one of the sleepers at these road courses. Something that when he started out, he was not good at all at these.
Right.
So, and he's admitted that. So, look for him. He had a great race at Atlanta. That's somebody that mentioned that I also did not have making it to the round of 12.
Right.
Having a good race at Atlanta, backing that up. he's hit or miss at Bristol. They do have the same tire that they had at last Bristol, which I'm very excited to see that live.
Yep.
Bowman finished 5th there, so maybe if it works out, he can get another good finish. So looks like I'm going to eat my words on a lot of stuff here, but I'm happy that I'm eating my words on Bowman because I want to see him do well and have a deep run.
Yeah, I mean, it would not surprise me one bit to see him run really well at the Glen. I mean, the last couple of years we've seen him run really well at road courses. I mean, he won the Chicago street race. Well, I don't know if you consider that a road course, but
I don't think I would, right?
Yeah,
You wouldn't call the Chicago street race a road course?
No, it's a street course.
I think it's different. It's a street course.
Sometimes I kind of
it's a street course. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I kind of view it the same way.
I would
as
put
a
it
road
in the
course.
same category as a road course. Like it's a similar skills.
Feels
but
like it'd be a subdivision to me.
yeah. It's like how NASCAR is a subsection of motorsports. Like it's still a road course, but you call it a street course. It's just a different type of street course as opposed to your
No bank turns.
as opposed to yeah. So.
I feel like it has a different style of racing.
It's different style, but like if you have somebody who's never driven on a road course before going up against somebody who's driven on a road course at a street course, the guy who's driven a road course before likely is going to be better than the guy who hasn't driven at any. I don't know. That was a really weird example, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, is there anything else you guys want to close up on NASCAR? I mean, I could talk about it for days, of course, but I don't want to.
One more driver I do want to point out who had a rough run in Atlanta is Denny Hamlin. I mean, arguably,
absolutely.
Arguably the favorite to win the championship in Phoenix. But yeah, like I said, it was a rough go around for him in Atlanta. I kind of look for him to bounce back at the Glen. It'll be interesting to see how he'll bounce back from Atlanta. So I believe the last time they ran at Watkins Glen, I think he finished second. I could be mistaken.
I'm not entirely sure on that one. I think I missed last year's race, but I know he's a good road course racer.
Right. Yeah.
It feels like recently they've been having a lot of issues at road courses.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I can't remember if it was like just he just hasn't been running as well. I remember him getting the pole at Sonoma and then just falling off the face of the earth. And
right.
And something with the team was what happened there. So
the engine thing is what you're referring to.
Yes, because it was all of Joe Gibbs was having that issue, right?
I think it was only.
I feel like I remember Gibbs having that issue too.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like forever since Sonoma, man. Shoot.
Yeah.
That was a while ago.
Yeah.
But I think Hamlin definitely has to turn it on, and he definitely can turn it on here. But also, he's one of the best short track drivers in the sport, if not the best short track driver in the sport. And guess what's coming up? Oh, if I have to
Bristol, baby.
If I have to witness a Hamlin, I love that, by the way. If I have to witness a Hamlin win,
I'm cheering for a Hamlin.
Life,
I'm cheering for a Hamlin Logano.
I will
finish.
so cry. Hamlin, for obvious reasons, Logano, just something about him.
Yeah,
just a two-faced, you know?
I get that. But like kind of wrapping everything up, this doesn't feel so much as an. Oh, sorry. Let me rephrase this.
Sure.
They talk about, and podcasts I've listened to and shows I've listened to, that the pit strategy, as you mentioned, is kind of big here when you're going to pit and everything else.
Yep.
Do you see the possibility of a driver who's not in the playoffs that really needs a win, basically just going for broke and leading the pack and stealing? Like, is this a race that you can see someone from the non-playoff team stealing a race, or is it just because you mentioned as the most talented drivers are the best drivers here? Literally, the top drivers are Bell, Reddick, Hamlin, Larson, Byron are the top 5 drivers. All playoff teams, all elite drivers. Hendricks has dominated here nonstop. Is it too much talent wins here, or could it be a non-playoff team taking that risk, taking that chance, and stealing one?
Well, it certainly comes down to who is the best road course racer. Allmendinger's always been a good driver here.
Definitely.
Gillen's a good road course driver. I'm not sure what his stats are at the Glen, but I know he's a good. McDowell is another good one. So, like, I could see those guys sneaking in. Buscher's been... Last year, I think he was one of the more consistent ones at road courses. I'm not sure what his stats look like this year, but I could certainly see Buescher being a threat. And I'm not sure what that swing would look like in the strategy race. I'm not necessarily a crew chief, but yeah, I see a world where that happens. And if a caution comes out at the right time, I think was that last year that happened? There was a year that happened at the Glen where a caution came out at the right time and you had the field flipped.
Oh.
And I think it was Kyle Busch ended up getting the lead. I don't know. I could be talking completely out of my butt here. So
yeah, I'm not.
Take my word with a grain of salt on that one. But I feel like I remember a situation like that happening. So
yeah,
it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility. You always have that chance.
Yeah, you listed off a bunch of great drivers like AJ Allmendinger, Todd Gilliland, but
we said Juan Pablo as well.
But the driver I want to focus on is Michael McDowell. I mean, he's obviously been a great road course racer, though. I mean, we've seen him up front from time to time on these road courses. I mean, just like his super speedway background, I feel like he has a great road course background. So I feel like if strategy goes his way, though, I can see him pulling off an upset in Watkins Glen. It would not surprise me one bit.
No, but this also is a time where the playoff drivers tend to turn it up a notch. Like they're bringing their best stuff. So at the end of the day, I would probably bet on a playoff driver, but you never know. That's the beauty of road courses, is it's not all cookie cutter like the mile and a half and the short tracks where you know who's going to be competing week in and week out. It's a different guy typically every race. It's the same cast, but it's a rotation of that same cast is more what I'm looking at. But I believe it is time for the good old 2-minute warning. It feels like ages since we have done this.
I don't remember last time we really have done one. So this is
been a while.
This is a good one to throw out here. And Garrett, if you want to get involved in any, feel free to throw your opinion out there. So gentlemen, we talked obviously a lot about the WNBA to start the show. So who is your WNBA champion, Colton?
I'm going with the Aces. Alex talked them up a lot, so I'm gonna follow with him.
For myself, I'm going with the New York Liberty. I feel like they've been the most consistent team, and Brianna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu are going to be dangerous, so give me the Liberty.
Yeah, up until this podcast, I was going one of those two teams. However, after hearing the best three-point team is Minnesota, I'll take the team that can shoot the three ball, so give me the Lynx.
Cool.
I also had the Lynx.
Yeah, nice. There
we go. I saw a story on them.
Basketball.
Yeah. Saw a story on them, read about them. I'm like, okay, they seem like a pretty hot team. I'll pick them.
Yep. So, World Series matchup plus champions. Has that changed, gentlemen? Ben?
For me, yeah. As of right now, I'm going Dodgers and Yankees, and I feel like the Yankees are going to win it.
Garrett?
Yeah, I still think the Dodgers are probably the team to beat in the NL, so I have the Dodgers in the series. However, I have the Orioles in the World Series. I think the Orioles are embarrassed at their sweep last year, and they're out for revenge. And I think Gunnar Henderson does it big in the ALCS MVP. Gunnar Henderson, lock it in.
I very much enjoy that because Orioles were my pick at the start of the year, so I have them still making it to the World Series, but I have the Phillies meeting them in there.
Cool. For me, I have the Orioles also. However, I am all aboard the hottest team in baseball. I love the Padres. Moving on. Dark horse MLB playoff team. Hottest team in baseball.
I wonder who.
Give me the Padres. Hottest team in baseball since the All-Star break.
That was one of mine. I'll pick a different one. I like the Mets, how they kind of turned it around. They have also been a pretty hot team since the Grimace thing.
The Grimettes.
Jared, you got one?
Grimettes.
Yeah, I like Colton's pick. However, I'm gonna go with the Kansas City Royals. I think if they get the right seed, I think they have a chance to maybe shock some people and kind of do something like the Diamondbacks did last year. Because I think that's a very underrated team. Their rotation, Bobby Witt, big Sal Perez.
Yeah.
I think this team is underrated, and whoever they play in the postseason, they're gonna get fits.
Just like you, Josh, I'm going with Padres. I feel like they're going to continue the momentum.
And then obviously last week we all made our picks for Watkins Glen, but we'll see if it changed at all.
I'm sticking with MTJ.
Okay. For myself, I'm going with Kyle Larson. I mean, like I mentioned before, it was a rough race for him in Atlanta. I feel like he'll bounce back at one of his best racetracks, so give me Larson.
Playoff win stolen. I'm going on AJ Allmendinger.
Dinger!
All right.
Let's go.
Give me Jeff Gordon.
I will never complain about an AJ Allmendinger one, even if he got chased out of the playoffs because of it. Like, I'm sorry, I love Dinger. That dude's awesome. Anyways, let's go ahead and wrap up the show. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for coming on. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, hit as many buttons as you want. And when we get to 50 subscribers, we are going to give away some tickets. Not sure what yet, because the Red season will unfortunately not be going into the playoffs. And so we'll see what they are. We'll find that out within the next week or so. But hey, if we get to 50, we have to do it right away. Anywho, Also follow us on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at NorseBW Thank you, Garrett, for all that you do on the director's chair. You do great work over there and work with champions. Thank you all for all that you do as well.
Absolutely.
And thank you, Bill Farrow and NKU Media Services, making this show better each and every week. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one.